Hey guys, this is Sports Fan Network, and I'm Andrew.
And I'm Travis.
Well, continuing our preview for the college football playoff semifinals, we go to the Oklahoma and Georgia game where Oklahoma, they won the Big 12. Georgia, they won the SEC. So this is a game between two really great teams this season. Oklahoma, they had a great offense, while Georgia, they had a great defense this season. So it's kind of a great matchup between offense and defense. We're going to start with that Oklahoma offense. We're going to have the same format as last time with the Alabama and Clemson games. With Travis, what can you tell us about the Oklahoma offense?
The Oklahoma offense was just simply electric all season long. They were just moving up and down the field, putting up a ton of points. They averaged 45 points a game, which is fourth in FBS. They had 583.3 yards per game. That's an insane number. Over almost 600 yards offense a game. But the most incredible part is as good as they're moving the ball, they only average 0.9 turnovers per game. I think they're the best offense in the country. They're just so much fun to watch. And then all starts with Heisman winner Baker Mayfield. This season, he passed for 4,340 yards. He completed 71% of his passes. He had 41 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. He was just electric all season. He definitely deserved the Heisman. He played like one for sure. But as good of a passing team as Oklahoma is, they're equally as good at running the ball. Rodney Harrison did not even start the season as the starting running back, and he ran for 960 yards. He had 11 touchdowns, and he averaged almost 6 yards per carry. And then probably the most explosive player in their entire offense has to be Marquise Brown, a.k.a. Hollywood Brown, and he was their big play threat for Oklahoma. He had 981 yards. He had 6 touchdowns, but he averaged 20 yards per catch. That's insane. He was their deep ball threat. He was just so good at creating explosive plays, really getting the offense going when it needed a big play. It always came through Marquise Brown.
Yeah, and going on to their defense here, this wasn't the strong point of this team, but there are some positives to say for this defense. They gave up 384.7 yards per game, 25 points per game, which isn't the greatest, especially when compared to the other team in the college football playoffs. We have some of the best defenses in the country in this college football playoffs. So Oklahoma, they're more of a shootout kind of team here. That's reflected in their defensive numbers. Really, when it comes down to their key playmakers, it really comes down to defensive end Ogbonnaya Okoronkwo, 6'1", 245-pound, explosive, athletic, off the edge for them. He had 70 tackles, 17 tackles for loss, 8 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. So he pretty much did it all for Oklahoma defense. He was great all season long, even when there were some up and downs for this defense over the course of the season, especially in the middle of the season for the Oklahoma defense, as they had some injuries to go through, playing a lot of younger players during the course of the middle part of the season. But over the last 3 games, they're only giving up 17 points per game. So they're playing their best football at the very end of the season, which is what you want for a team. And it's not necessarily a defense where they have to shut guys down. Their offense is so dynamic, like you just said, Travis, that they just really need to get enough takeaways, get enough stops in the game to give their offense a chance to win. And I feel like they have enough talent to do that going forward in this college football playoff.
Yeah, now moving on to Georgia's offense and defense. Andrew, I'll start with you. How did their offense do this year?
Yeah, statistically, this was a pretty good offense for Georgia. They're averaging almost 35 points per game, which is 22nd in the FBS, 433.6 yards per game. But get this, the most impressive part about this is they're averaging 263.5 yards per game rushing. So they're a run-first offense. And, going to their key playmakers here, they have a freshman quarterback in Jake Fromm, who had a pretty efficient year for the Bulldogs this season, passing for 2,173 yards, completing 63% of his passes, 21 touchdowns, and 5 picks. So very efficient for the Georgia Bulldogs. Wasn't asked to do too much, as reflected by his pedestrian passing stats in terms of volume, but he had a pretty good pass to touchdown to interception ratio, 21 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. That's pretty good. He's been poised pretty much all year, and they're expecting that to continue for them in the college football playoff. But really, it comes down to their two-headed monster running back when it comes to Nick Chubb and Sony Michael, one of the best running back duos in the country, if not the best. When you look at Nick Chubb, he rushed for over 1,000 yards, 13 touchdowns, 6.2 yards per carry. He's considered one of the top running back prospects in the upcoming NFL draft, so he's a guy to look out for come in the spring. And then you look at Sony Michael. He goes for 948 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 7.2 yards per carry. So both of these guys are very efficient. They get big yards. They can also tough out some yards for them as well. And they're just a great, dominant rushing attack. And that was reflected by their numbers over the course of the season.
Yeah, then moving on to Georgia's defense, they were very quietly one of the best defenses in the country. They only let up 13.2 points per game, which is fourth in FBS. So they were very good on the defensive side of the ball as well on the offensive side of the ball. Looking at their stats, they let up 271 yards per game. And really, the defense was one of their strengths of this team. And all starts with a key playmaker, Roquan Smith. He's the best player in multiple categories. He's a first-round NFL draft prospect. He's a super speedy linebacker that can play sideline to sideline. He can play all three downs. He's really the heart and soul and the captain of the Georgia Bulldogs defense. Taking a look at his stats, he had 113 tackles. He had 10.5 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks, and 2 fumble recoveries. So he's a very big playmaker for this defense. He forced turnovers. He was able to get a decent amount of sacks for a middle linebacker. But this guy is just going to be one of the guys to watch when these two teams play. It'll be really interesting to see where they line him up on the field against an elite Oklahoma offense. How he'll if he can be like a spy for Baker Mayfield. It'll be a lot of fun to watch him. But also another key playmaker is DeAndre Baker, who had 39 tackles, he had 2 interceptions, and he had 9 pass deflections. DeAndre Baker is going to be a very busy man against Oklahoma. Everyone knows they love to throw the football. Now, it's going to be interesting where they match him up against like Marquise Brown or another wide receiver. But he's definitely have a lot of passes thrown this way because of Oklahoma's high-powered offense. And if he can cause a few turnovers or make some big, pass defense, then that would be really huge for this Georgia defense.
Yeah, moving on, we're going to go to the 3 keys for this game. And really, the big key for this game is how can Georgia's defense stop Baker Mayfield in this explosive Oklahoma offense?
Yeah, well, I think they have to mix up their blitz disguise, make sure that they don't know when they're blitzing. They got to get, a decent amount of pressure on Baker Mayfield because as we've seen in the past, if you just sit back in his own coverage, if you give this man enough time, he's going to pick you apart. But at the same time, Baker Mayfield is also very good against the blitz. So you have to make sure you get home when you send the blitz on him. You need to, get the right balance. You have to not let up any of these big plays by this big Oklahoma offense. If he gets out of the pocket, you see him create a lot of plays. He's a quarterback that can tuck it and run, but he's also got a great arm. So, basically all season it's been unstoppable. The best thing you can do is just try to contain Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, with Georgia here, Baker Mayfield's a very experienced quarterback, so he's pretty much seen it all in terms of blitz packages and coverages that Georgia's going to throw at him. So, Georgia's got their hands full with this Oklahoma offense, and there's so many weapons to kind of deal with here. It's going to be tough. One thing you suggested that I think is pretty interesting is Roquan Smith as a spy on Baker Mayfield, because you know that Baker Mayfield loves to extend plays with his legs outside the pocket and make big plays down the field using his leg to extend plays. So Roquan Smith can be a type of a guy that can really slow that down with his speed. He can maybe make sure that Baker Mayfield, if he's going to scramble, he's not going to go too far because of how fast he is in the open field. And then moving on here, talking about the other defenses here, Oklahoma, they have a pretty good defense in terms of the last 3 games. Like I said, 17 points per game the last 3 games. But is it possible that they can slow down this Georgia rushing attack, which has been so dominant all season long?
Yeah, I don't think they can. This Georgia's rushing attack, you see the stats. They're averaging 263 yards per game. They've been elite all season. No one's really, they're going up against Alabama, all the top SEC teams, and still running for all those yards. Now, the one advantage that Oklahoma does have is that they can key in on the rushing attack, try to slow it down by putting 9, 10 guys in the box, make Georgia beat you through the air. And that's going to be a key question in this game, and I'll have to ask you is, do you think Jake Fromm can make enough big plays through the air to help them keep up with Oklahoma's high-powered offense?
Yeah, that kind of leads into the third key for this is what you just asked there is Jake Fromm. This is a freshman quarterback. He's played well all season, played very well in the SEC championship game against Auburn, was very efficient through 2 touchdowns, no turnovers in that game. But this is a much bigger stage than that. He's going up against a great offense in Oklahoma. And Georgia's defense, they haven't played an offense like Oklahoma all season long in terms of how explosive they are and how they can spread them out. So Jake Fromm's going to have to make plays with his arm in this game in order for Georgia to win this game. And I mean, it's going to be tough. It's a tough task, but I think he's got some talent as a pocket passer to make some plays. But I'm not sure if he's necessarily ready at this point as a freshman passer to go up against a much more experienced guy in Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, not many players can keep up with Baker Mayfield in a shootout. But ultimately, Andrew, who do you think is going to win this game?
I'm gonna have to go with Oklahoma on this one. I just feel like Baker Mayfield in that offense, they're just unstoppable. Like I said, Georgia, they're a really good defense, one of the best in the country, but they haven't played a defense like Oklahoma. Whereas Oklahoma has played great defenses like Ohio State, TCU. You know, they've had some challenges on the course of their schedule, and I think it's going to pay off in the long run for this game.
Yeah, and for me, I usually don't make my picks based off conference, but in this game, I'm gonna have to. Georgia, they played in the SEC, they played against Bama, played against Auburn, played against all the good SEC teams. I don't trust Oklahoma's defense, and Georgia can just really control the game by running the ball, controlling the clock. I think Georgia's defense is good enough to get, maybe a few turnovers, kind of try to slow down the Oklahoma offense. I think Georgia's rushing attack, and I think Jake Fromm can make just enough plays for them to get the win. So I'm going to have to go with Georgia in this game.
Yeah, well, that's our thoughts on the upcoming college football playoff semifinal game between Oklahoma and Georgia. It's going to be a very exciting game. Like we said, it's a game between two teams with opposing styles in terms of Oklahoma's a high-flying offense, and Georgia, you're going to have an old-school defensive team. So it's going to be a fun game to watch. Thanks, guys, for watching, and make sure to look forward to this awesome game that we're going to be having on New Year's Day.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, if you can leave a like and subscribe, that'd help us out so much. And yeah, just thank you guys. We have a Facebook page, Sports Fan Network. If you can give that a like, we'll be posting a lot there. We got a lot more videos coming out soon, so stay tuned.